This is Radamari. You are listening to The Unofficial Lounge.
Hey man, appreciate everybody listening. This is Tutai. I'm a referee in the Big 12 Conference. You are listening to The Unofficial Lounge.
The Unofficial Lounge with Ashante, Cravon, and Monty. We're here to give you the insight into some of the biggest plays you remember, involving the people wearing the stripes. We look at the grit it takes to become an official while exploring the history of officiating with the people who made it. It's more than black and white.
All right. Rock and roll.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Unofficial Lounge. We are joined today by, in my opinion, a Southern California legend, because I know when I started coming through Southern California, this man was already on the map, already a big-time known name, and I was happy the first time I got to just be out there at a USC or UCLA practice with him, because you knew if you was hanging out with Mike McCabe, you was in the right place. So please, welcome to the show, a veteran Pac-12 official, now crew chief for the last 5-6 years, doing an amazing job. Welcome to the show, Mike McCabe.
Talk about sucking up. Oh my God.
Wow. Oh my God.
Thank you.
Did you throw a sideline interference or something?
I need some more. I need some more alternates. You know, Mike must be off week 10, so I didn't get another alternate. He must be off that same week. So I've been alternate all year. So
you can buckle your pants back up, Mike.
That's good stuff.
So, Mike, really welcome to the show. As we ask everybody, how did you get started in officiating?
Great question. Many of you will know that my dad was official himself, and he started officiating when he was in college, or just right out of college. He graduated from the University of Wyoming, and my mom and dad got married real young, right out of college, and so he started officiating to make ends meet. They were just young married couple, and so somebody turned him on to do some officiating back in Wyoming, and he tells a great story. It's better than I can tell it, but he'll talk about how he did a basketball game, and they would pay him like $20 for this basketball game, and they'd give an elk sandwich at the end of the game, and he was like, "Oh, this is the most amazing thing ever." And $20 back then was a lot of money, right? So, So my dad did it obviously for years and years, and he was both a basketball and football official. And when I was a young kid growing up, obviously seeing him come and go all the time, and I think I told you a story recently, Cravon, about how on a Friday night when he was doing a high school football game, he would ask, "Hey, do you want to tag along and be a ball boy tonight?" And so I remember as a young kid just going to all his games, in the San Fernando Valley where I grew up, and, going to those football games on Friday nights and watching, things from the sideline. And, that inspired me, as I got older and I graduated from college. And then I remember one day he said, "All right, you're back from your school." He goes, "What are you going to do to get a job?" And I said, "Oh, I'm still thinking about it." And he says, "Well, while you're thinking about it, why don't you get your butt off the couch, go down there and work 3 of those Pop Warner games."
Right.
Wow.
9-11-1, they pay about $30 a game. And so that was kind of my key to I think I need to do that.
Right.
So you didn't have an option. That's what I'm like.
Pretty much. So I did. You're right. I did. Yeah.
While you're thinking about that job opportunity, I have one that's going to pay you cash right now.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
And
and Dale Williams. Yeah, Dale Williams was the assigner back then. Real Dale Williams from the NFL, and Dale was signing those Pop Warner games, and he loaded me up, and that was my start.
Did you ever venture into basketball at any point in time, or just always football?
I did a few runs at basketball, and I just gravitated to football, and I played basketball my entire life. Believe it or not, I was played in high school, Presby, and when they had good basketball teams back in the day, and but I just liked the football more than anything, so I didn't do much beyond football.
Okay.
Hold on. Let's get into that play basketball thing. So when you say you played, was you the water boy Did you play?
I played basketball. I was on varsity basketball team. Crespi, you can look it up.
Crespi pretty tough back in the day.
We back in the day, I
When
think
they
we
say
made the
we,
quarterfinals.
when people say we, he didn't contribute to the team.
No
Yeah.
CIF banners hung in your honor.
No, okay, you're right. Okay, I gotta come clean. But I did. I think I got a little bit of playing time, but we had a tough team. I think we played Verdun Day in the quarterfinals of the CIF that year that we had the really good team. But yeah, no, that was the extent of my basketball career.
Okay.
Now hold on, Crispy, isn't that where Derek Fisher's coaching this year?
He is. You're absolutely right.
That's
he
right.
Dropped a long way.
Yeah,
they just hired him.
Man, he was at the Knicks, the Sparks, and now wow.
Come on, we'll hire the best. Come on.
Right. Hey man, it's better than that TV gig, I guess. You know, he said I got to go do something. He want to give back to the kids, Ashanti. He made his money. He stole like 35 million from the Knicks or something like that. So
it ain't stealing if they giving it to you.
So now, Mike, you Dad gets you off the couch. You go out there and you work some Pop Warner games. When did you get that itch though that you? I mean, because I'm assuming at that time, knowing that your father had progressed along in officiating, you kind of knew that it was stuff beyond Pop Warner in high school and so on when you started. So when did you get that itch like, oh, okay, I want to take this more serious than Dad kicking me off the couch?
Yeah. I got the opportunity to work some high school games, some freshman high school games. And that was like, I think the start of it. And I was like, wow, this is much different than a Pop Warner game.
Oh, yeah.
It was a lot of fun. And I think by the tail end of my stay in the San Fernando Valley, I was working on a crew in the Valley, a lot of legendary people up there. And then I gravitated down to Orange County eventually and was on a crew the first year down in Orange County. And at that point, I was all in. So I loved it and was working Friday nights and, then the junior college games, followed.
Oh, that's when you stop making money.
Exactly. Yeah.
You wouldn't load it up. No, hold up, Monty. Back then, you probably could work a Pop in the morning and then go work a JUCO.
You could.
Right?
Oh,
you could.
Have you ever worked double JUCO games? That's the real test.
That's the real
Mount
test.
Sac in the morning and then drive all the way to Moore Park in the evening.
Oh yes,
done that before.
Yes, yes. They don't know nothing about those days. McCabe.
They got rid of the doubleheaders with us when we came.
Because McCabe, when you came through JUCO, it was still the Mission, the Foothill, and Western States, right? It was still three.
You're absolutely right.
Okay,
correct. Yeah.
So it was everybody wanted to get into the Mission Conference because that's where at the time the Mount Sacs, the El Caminos, those schools that was running JUCO,
or Coast and all those schools. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So did you have to write a letter to get approved for JUCO, Mike? How did you jump in your foray into JUCO go?
Well, I actually did. I followed all the protocols. I remember writing a letter to Dean Crowley, who was, running the Foothill conference, and Dean gave me a couple games, and then Rich Cohen was still, in charge then, and then I think Bill Gopian was part of the Western States at the time. So all three of them, I wrote letters, and they, first couple of years, they each gave me a couple games, and
that's because your dad.
That was an eye opener, though.
That's because your dad, because I've heard a bunch of other stories where they wrote letters after year after year after year. They did nothing.
Hey,
I got a break. Knowing a few people along the way.
There you go. There we go.
Yeah.
But what people don't understand though at that time, you kind of mentioned it though. The JUCO grind for us in Southern California was crazy because you think Mike's living in Orange County, he'll go to Mount Sac, and no joke, have a 1 o'clock in Mount Sac, have a 7 o'clock, in LA Valley, and it's like,
or East LA. I mean,
right.
It's funny. I had a conversation with Todd Prukop recently. He's from down in Southern California in the NFL, and he did the JUCO grind too. And we always still talk about to this day, if you can work Southern California junior college football, I mean, it sharpens you. It's the test of all tests, and I think you're ready for the next level if you can do that for several years and be successful at it. It's good football, and you see everything in a junior college game, right?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
If it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen somewhere along the way in a junior college game.
Well, it's not even that. That's called you got to have game management because they are gonna fight.
You're gonna fight. You're gonna see crazy plays. You're gonna see it all. Yep.
And I tell people the difference between working junior college and like Division II, Division III. Junior college, especially in Southern California, you still saw Division I athletes playing. So the level of the game wasn't that far away from what you see in Division I. It's just you had all the extra side effects.
There's a reason.
Coaching.
That was a reason.
Right.
There's a reason why they there.
Yeah.
I realized that my first JUCO experience, like, oh man, they got this kid from Miami, Florida here.
Yeah.
That was a reason.
Yeah. I had a game one time at like it was Long Beach City College somewhere, and they had during timeout there was 4 linemen were there, defense linemen, like, hey, where are you guys from? Everyone was from Florida. I'm like,
Yeah, that's right.
What's doing out here? You know, they were stuffing guys way out west.
Yeah.
Oh yes. So now, Mike, what was your progression up through the football ranks? Because I'm assuming at that time camps and all that stuff maybe existed but wasn't as prevalent as they are now. So what was kind of your next step up going through from the JUCO level?
So camps were just starting as I was getting into I would say the next level. And it was the Reno camp was the first one that was just getting started. And ironically, I was part of the staff, a young member of the staff at that point. So I didn't do the camp.
Okay.
Thing, so to speak.
Monty. Whoa, hold up, Mike. I got to hold up. How did camp start and you part of the staff? There has to be something about
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Hey, but
let's go
what
back
you
to my
guys
progression here.
right. But I'm gonna give Mike some kudos though. You guys don't know, at one point in time, Mike was probably the top deep official.
That's what I'm trying to get at.
I mean, he was the man in
Mike
when it comes to the deeps.
But I'm saying Mike is humbly saying, and I just caught that. Like, the camp start and this young guy, JUCO guy, is
there just wasn't enough camps yet.
Okay. That's what I'm saying. So yeah, that had to be an honor though, right? Knowing that this is the first time and you getting invited.
Yeah, because they took my money. I went the last year in Reno. They took my money.
No, I know. You know, there's always a little bit of I was a little conflicted a little bit about some of that stuff, you know, and I think today, you know, it's progressed into giving people opportunities. I think early on, I think people didn't necessarily see it as maybe as it is now, but it was more, hey, you know, I go to these camps for 4 or 5 years and spend, you know, a lot of money to go there, and I'm not seeing a lot of, you know, opportunity come out of it. So I think that's changed, which is a good thing. I think the instructions also gotten better and the purpose behind them, personally.
So
my progression,
since Ashanti cut you off,
my bad, Mike. I had to interrupt.
How
did
you,
Mike.
you know, progress?
Yeah, so it was interesting. I got an opportunity to work arena football, believe it or not.
Okay.
At the tail end of a season, they needed a couple officials to work a couple games late in the year, and I had been down working, doing some of the charting penalty stuff for the Anaheim Piranhas, and so anyways, I got this opportunity to work an arena football game late in the year, and then the next season, so I worked one game at the very end of the year with the Iowa Barnstormers and the Connecticut Coyotes, and believe it or not, Kurt Warner was the quarterback in that game. Yeah.
Wow, so you worked in the late 1900s.
Right.
And still looking young. Go on. Don't. I
got that opportunity, and then next year I got into the league, the Arena Football League. That for a full season, and that kind of was the springboard to getting into the Big Sky Conference. So that the same year or the following year, I can't remember the dating on that, but then Doug Toole hired me in the Big Sky Conference. There's very few officials.
That's big. That's getting into the Big Sky from Southern California at that period of time.
Well, very rare. We didn't have a lot of teams.
I got a little tidbit of there. So My high school quarterback was Jerry Georgia, who was Kurt Warner's roommate on the Barnstormers, and Kurt Warner shouted him out in his Hall of Fame speech. So he must have
No
you must
kidding.
have seen him playing too. Bam!
I probably did. Yeah.
Really,
Mhm.
Monty?
Hey, man.
We stretched this.
Where
Where are we supposed to go with that one? That's
Man, boy.
Boom!
Oh.
we try.
Man.
Oh, were you talking McCabe? Sorry about that.
Yeah, right. Just off the rails. Here we go.
See,
Already.
Mike, see the problem with replay? They talking when you don't need them.
Yeah. That happened yesterday. We don't have to go down that rabbit hole. But
Oh boy, ain't that the truth? So now, Mike, you get the opportunity to work into the arena. You get into the Big Sky. How long were you in the Big Sky? And was it Mountain West from there or straight?
No, it was. Yeah, I think I did 3 years in the Big Sky Conference. And I ironically had a couple of guys that that were on my crew first year, Joe Johnstone, and then Doug Wilson. We were three of us were on a crew together in the Big Sky.
Right on.
That was, I think, 3 years, and then I got the opportunity to go to the Mountain West, and Bill Levy was the supervisor at that time, and he hired me into the Mountain West.
All right, so pause, because everybody that's worked with Bill has a story. You have to have a story that either he got on you or you heard him getting on somebody else, like a coach or something else. You got to have one good Bill Levy story.
Well, Bill was, I think, one of the best supervisors I had ever worked for. He was so I would say black and white, but just there was not a lot of gray area. Like it was really good. Like you just say, this is how it's going to be and how I want you to officiate this play or that play. And there was not a lot of ambiguity to it. So I love that aspect of Bill. I remember one time had a really good game. And I think I was getting with coffee and I was challenging something. And then the next week we had a downgrade that came out and I'm like, why did I get this downgrade? And then it was kind of a little bit of a message that was being sent to me. And I remember the time, I think the referee was Ken Rivera, who was on, and Ken goes, just keep your mouth shut. There's a reason why you got that downgrade.
Nice.
Wow. Nice. Kind of take you down a notch. And I said, okay, I get it now. I get it.
And you was sticking your chest out. And he came and just gave you a Mike Tyson 1-2. Just boom,
yeah.
Sit down.
Yep.
Understood. And like I say, everybody has a Levy story, but may you rest in peace. But he was one of those supervisors that nobody I've heard that worked with him said anything because he had the officials back as well. He would go at it with some coaches to explain why the officials were right. But if you were wrong, you knew it as well.
So Mike, at the same time as you're coming up, I know your dad, so how is your dad involved with your football career? His critique, I know, because you got to watch VHS tapes and all that. So how was the critique?
In the late 1900s.
Yeah. I still call him after every game. He's still the full report for me. So even after yesterday's game, he goes, yeah. I didn't think your announcements were as crisp as they were, last game. I'm like, really? But he's just telling me stuff. But he still will, give me feedback, and it some of it's relevant. Some of it isn't, but it's still good to have him, take a look at things. And, at the end of the day, he's been around a long time, and I still value that feedback. It doesn't matter how old you are.
I think he was giving us, he was our supervisors in SCIAC. So he had given us a couple of reports. Absolutely.
He was one of the better.
When I first started in JUCO, he was the, Valley instructor for the JUCO, preseason and in-season classes. And I used to love it because it was always a story coming back. He was still reffing in the WAC at the time. And he always had a story, and it was just great. He was like, here we go, story time. And you knew that was going to kill 30 minutes of the meeting because you just wanted to get in that meeting and get out before people. And with Bill, it was always good.
But somehow the stories led to the topic. You know what I'm saying?
Right. It always led to what we were doing.
And then he's like, all right, next play. So
now, Mike, how many schools were in the Big Sky when you got in? Was it 8 or 10 schools there? Was Idaho stuff? Is that before they left
Yeah.
and came back and all that stuff?
Yeah. So, Sac State, I think, was the only team from California at the time.
Okay.
And so that's the reason why Doug wasn't hiring a lot of guys from California, even from Southern California. He was
Right.
very big on the footprint, hiring from the footprint. But yeah, at the time it was like Idaho State, Portland State, Eastern Washington, the two Montana schools were in there. Might be missing a couple other ones, but
Yeah.
Cal Poly wasn't in there yet. Remember, Cal Poly was run by Don Wilson.
Right. They
Right.
were
Right.
PCCU or something at the time, whatever.
Yeah,
That
SCFA.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
So hold
Yeah.
up. Let's go. You just said something. So you must have caught a lot of flack being a SoCal kid in the Big Sky. You like, who this up and coming guy, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. They were looking at me pretty like, who's this? Yeah, who's this young kid? Who's this hot dog? Who does he think he is? But I will say this too, with some of the greatest towns in the Big Sky Conference. I mean,
Okay.
Dante, can you ever say you've ever been to Pocatello, Idaho before?
I hope. No.
Yeah, watch yourself. Yeah, well, there's a little bit going on right now.
There's
Watch
a little bit
yourself.
going on.
Yeah.
You
Not
may
yet.
you may want to take
yet.
that comment back.
Not yet.
Yeah, we would have to bleep that
No, we
one
have to
out.
beat that one out.
There's still some possibilities that he may find himself in Pocatello, Idaho. So now you go into the Mountain West. You're there with Levy. Who gives you the call to the pack?
Yep. One day I got a call from Verl Thorgan, who was a supervisor, and we worked a lot of spring games like we all did along the way at UCLA and USC. And then, back then that was the big kind of your tryout for the pack. And there was not a lot of opportunity. Back then it was always like one, maybe two guys a year would trade openings. And but I can't remember why we had an opening in Southern California. Somebody retired, but I worked the spring game, and then the following week I got a call from Verl Thorgan.
Whoa.
And he took me in as a line of scrimmage official. So I started out at the line, going backwards a little bit. I was actually a line of scrimmage official in the Big Sky Arena.
Oh,
football.
really?
Yeah.
So that's why you were so deep and good at referee, because you was on the line at one point in time.
He didn't watch just one person, huh? He knew how to watch the field.
I can watch whole field. Yeah, that's so. And then ironically, what happened is that, and then one year, kind of fast forward a little bit here, but I worked the XFL, the original XFL with the He Hate Me and all those guys.
Oh, with the ball, the ball, the coin toss, the ball toss.
Oh yeah, the ball toss. And I worked deep in that league. They put me at side judge, and then that kind of springboarded me into working deep. So I worked line of scrimmage for several years. Mountain West, Big Sky, I think a year in the pack, and then Verls gave me a full schedule the following year as a deep official in the pack, and that's where I was for a while.
Can you get the opportunity to work in the World League also?
I did. I worked three years in NFL Europe. I did.
Okay.
Yeah, I was part of that program, and just an amazing experience overall. Getting to travel Europe and working with some just incredible officials that are still today are in the NFL. Craig Rolstad 1 year was my referee. Gerald Austin one season. That was real interesting. I got Gerald Austin stories that can go on for days. And then Gene Territory one season as well.
He had the index card.
Oh yeah.
You bring the index card. Wow. Okay. So that had to be an experience. Now, instead of you traveling locally in the Conus, getting on that experience, going over Europe for a week, y'all had to be away for 2 weeks, right? Or how was that?
Well, typically it was almost 2 week period. Yeah, it was about
Okay.
a 2 week period. You were gone. You'd fly out, and then you'd work a game, on the front end weekend, and then you'd have this weekend between where they would kind of cut you loose and say, okay, well, you see you next week in Berlin or wherever it was. And that was made it so fun because a lot of people brought their spouses or their significant others, and we would take that week in between and go wherever you wanted to go, but you had to be in the Nick City for the game.
Now, when you talk about family and spouses, Mike, how is it? I mean, because you are a girl dad. For those of us that know you, 3 daughters, I believe.
Three girls. Yep.
Yeah. So how is the family? Do you have kids at this time? Are you married or still young bachelor exploring?
I was married. Kelly, who we met was awesome in terms of putting up with all my travels and my pursuit of an officiating career, and she still is today. But we just started having our first 2 kids that were about 18 months apart. So it wasn't always easy. I was gone quite a bit. We were asked for some help on some of those trips where we got to go to Europe, and she went on I think 2 times she went to Europe with me on those experiences. So
that helps.
Yep.
Yeah,
it does help. Yeah, it helps keep marriage together.
No offense to Pocatello, but I know Europe is better.
Yeah, I didn't take her to Pocatello.
Right,
baby. You want to go to Bowles? You want to go to Bozeman, or you want to go to Paris? What would you like? Right. I hear they're both beautiful in the spring, honey. Come on.
No, that's the fall.
That's funny.
So you're working, life is progressing, football is, you're traveling, you're taking more and more of your time, especially the XFL, the arena leagues. I mean, and the arena at the time was in the spring, right? It wasn't
arena
the
was
same
in the
time.
spring.
Yeah. So
yeah.
You were doing basically year-round football at that time before all this rebirth of this year-round football has come back.
You're spot on, 100%. It was a lot of travel. Arena football was interesting because one weekend you could be in Tampa, Florida game and fly home the next week or in Albany, New York, and it was a significant amount of travel.
Wow.
It was a grind. Those games really sharpened you up, though. I will say that is one league that made me in my opinion, a really good official. Can make you a good official. Is what I really say. It just was such a fast game. It just was moving, quick passes, everything. You had to be on your toes working that game, especially when you're confined in walls. There's nowhere to go.
Now, I have heard in the past, we've talked to some, but not many that had the opportunity to experience some of Verl's tests, yearly exams.
Yep.
Because he was like a math teacher or something.
He was a math teacher.
How was that the first time experiencing the Verl
exam? The worst experience ever. I'm not gonna lie. I remember I took the test and afterwards, and I think I scored like a 78 or something, and Verl just came over to me and he just something to the effect like, Mike, you just didn't do real well on the test this year.
Wow.
But that's okay. But I mean, that's all you needed to say. And I was like, I knew I had, but his tests were incredibly hard.
Right.
I still have some of those tests, and yeah,
I remember seeing one as I was first coming up, and I'm like, who does this? Like, this is, every play was just a play that you like, huh?
Yeah.
Really?
I know. I don't think I got 100% on any one of his tests. I mean, maybe at the end I may have finally got to a high 90s or something. I thought that was incredible. Just if you can get into the 90s with this test, it was great, right? So,
right.
But it definitely makes you a better test taker. Forces you to understand the rules, and all those study sessions we would do down at Chuck McFerrin's garage. Those were amazing.
Man. So how was it to try to separate those various rule books now? Because you saying XFL and NFL Europe and the NCAA rule book at that time, which probably was a pamphlet. So how was it?
We can't take you nowhere.
Yeah, it was hard. I trying to understand, illegal contact and things like that you don't have in NCAA.
They think they do this every time I hear that. It's a 5. We can chuck them 5 yards, right, ref? Like,
right.
Nah, man. Where's that at?
I almost called it one time right after I work in the league. I'm like, all right, Guy just chucked him at 5 yards. I'm like, whoa, flag back, Mike.
Come back to earth there, Mikey.
Right.
Now, so how did you make the transition deep from the line of scrimmage?
Yeah, so I got the opportunity to work, like I said, in the XFL deep. Ken Rivera was the supervisor, and he said to me, "Hey, I got a spot in the XFL. Would you like to work it?" I'm like, "Absolutely." He goes, "But it's a deep spot." And if he goes, "If you're not comfortable working it, no big deal." And of course, you're never going to turn that down. You're like,
I've been working deep all my life. What are you talking about?
Exactly.
I go to sleep
hold
working
up,
deep.
hold up. No one ever says they can work umpire.
If it's a league calling you, you did.
Hold up.
If it's a league, if it ends in league, right?
Yes.
Anything that ended in league,
Yes.
you're gonna say yes, I can work umpire.
Right.
Okay.
Yep. So I did that, and then the following year I worked a half schedule to pack at line of scrimmage and a half in the Mountain West as a deep official.
Ooh.
And I'll tell you a quick story that
Ooh.
it was so hard because one week I'd show up, working line of scrimmage, and the next week I was, a deep official. And I had this game at Wyoming one time, and Craig Battaglia, who was the back judge, we all know who Craig is, right?
Oh, Bags.
Bags. So Bags, we got on the field, and I still didn't realize, but I was working, field judge, and I had an 8 on my back, and we're at Wyoming, and we're in the pregame, and he didn't told me anything all throughout getting dressed or anything. We got on the field, and he's like, pulled me aside. I mean, he just let me have it. And because if you looked at your shirt, and I go, what's wrong with my shirt? Have it got stained on or what? And he goes, look at your letter. And so that's how messed up I was week to week. And the following year, finally, I got the opportunity with Verl he goes, hey, I have a full schedule for you at the deep position. Do you want it? And of course I said yes. So that's how it all evolved.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, did he move you deep because you were struggling on the line, or were you handling your business there, Mike? I mean, did you? No, I'm just messing with you.
It was a transition for me. I would say if I had to choose, I would stay in the line of scrimmage.
Right.
I really,
Right.
kind of what I'd worked all my life was a line of scrimmage, and so it was definitely a transition. It was.
I believe it.
Yeah.
Now you're in the Pac-10, career is progressing. You're going to NFL Europe, so that means you're on the NFL progression and all that other stuff. You have family at home, work is progressing. How did you just keep everything focused? Because I mean, once I knew you as a deep, and you were bowl games every year, working the big games and doing your thing back there. When did it all click for you deep to where it was like you were the man when it comes to being a deep official?
So I would have to say when Tony Carney took over the Pac-12, and Rob Bernacchi was the position supervisor, I gained a lot of respect and just knowledge for that position. He probably was the best teacher that I had at the deep position. And so at that point I was getting more and more comfortable, and it was evolving, and I settled into that spot. But up until then though, it wasn't easy. I was always used to working line of scrimmage, and now I'm learning about cutoffs and things you don't want to call and not call, and backpedaling. And
what category is that, DPI?
Yeah, exactly. What is that?
Grab and restrict. That's all else fails. Grab and restrict.
No, early contact.
In his arm.
No, early contact gets you in
ball.
trouble. Right, yeah. Early contact gets you in trouble. Boy, oh boy. So what is your biggest game that you can remember working deep that stands out to you? Like, whoo, that was a game.
Well, I mean, a significant game was the Bush game.
Ooh.
Oh.
Like,
Why didn't you call it? Why didn't you call it?
After a few years, right?
Wow. So what side were you on the same side with Cleo? Or were you
I
on
was
the
on the opposite side of
opposite
Cleo.
side. Okay.
Yeah.
You were opposite side
Mhm.
of Cleo. Okay.
Yeah,
So-
I was, I think, my second year in the Pac, I think, and we got that assignment. Jack Wood was a referee, and I couldn't believe we were going to Notre Dame. I'm like, this is incredible. And obviously looking back on it, you had Matt Leinart and Brady Quinn were the two quarterbacks, and Reggie Bush and all of this, all the hype behind the game. And it turned out to be, pretty good game.
Just a pretty good game.
Just pretty good game.
Now on the TV, it looked like the grass was about 18 feet high. How was it on the field? Was it really that long? As it looked?
It was that long. Yeah, it was about 18 feet high. And I remember distinctly talking to coach of Notre Dame at the time. I forget his name. Anyways,
who was it at the time? Was it a guy from Patriots
Weiss?
at the time?
Yeah,
Weiss,
it
was it Charlie Weiss?
Charlie Weiss. There you go. Charlie Weiss.
Weiss.
Charlie Weiss.
Yeah.
And he told me, he goes, we intentionally didn't mow the grass for like the last week and a half to slow down Reggie Bush. He put it right out there.
Wow.
I was like, okay.
Use what you got.
Yeah.
And that's one of the toughest sidelines, because you have all that band and
You got the
and
band.
everything else in the back of that end zone and everything. So I'm sure that was just an experience, because that was the game of the year. I mean, everybody was waiting for that game to happen, and it was just no place to move. So how was that environment just working outside of, the Bush push? How was the environment for that second year in, especially?
Yeah. It's just such an iconic place to work. I mean, I don't think I've been more nervous working a football game my entire life, and I worked that one. And I got to take Kelly's mom and dad to that game. Were always big Notre Dame fans, and it was great because Kelly's dad, since he passed away, but at the time, that was just like the biggest moment of his life, having them there. And but overall, just a great experience. Anytime you go there, it doesn't matter, it's,
I mean, you got
last season or whenever.
You got football Jesus watching over.
You got touchdown Jesus over there.
You better make sure everything's right.
And there's always people on those sidelines there. You're gonna run and see somebody that's there.
Was Joe Montana there?
Joe Montana, I remember Doug Flutie was there. There was all kinds of people there. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, Mike, since this game already passed, I'm gonna fast forward because you said people on the sidelines. I mean, but how did that sideline of Stars compare to your week 3 game at Colorado with the Stars?
Similar to yours, a lot of people. Yeah.
Which one had more stars at the time?
Wow. I mean, that Colorado game recently was pretty crazy. They're putting all those A-listers on the sideline nowadays. It's
the funny thing is, Mike, you're like me, because we were there a couple weeks ago together, and we didn't even know who half the people were. Right, somebody said they was popular, but I don't know who.
Of course, when you started officiating wearing knickers, you ain't gonna understand how
you officiated in the late 1900s.
Like it's who?
You ain't gonna know the baby. And like who had a baby? That's what y'all like.
Call the ambulance. There's somebody on the sideline having a baby.
Right. Offset. I was like, I think I heard the name before, but I can't name one of his songs if you ask me to.
That's what my kids said. Hey, Dad, you're part of a meme with Offset. It's like it was trending, and I'm like, I don't know what you're referring to.
Right.
Did
we call off sides? Were they not set? Like, right.
Man.
Yes.
Hey, Monty, just remember, Monty, we can't get this old. You know what I'm saying?
You'll be there someday.
Right. You hope to be here. Yeah. So now, Mike, you're working deep, you're progressing, all that is going. The Pac-10 at the time transitions to 8 officials, and now you go to center judge. What made you decide to switch over to center judge? Was that wanting to go to referee eventually, or you just got tired of
isn't that the path they always said? Is if you're going to be the referee, you got to go to center judge first?
Man, it's different path for everybody, so
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't think that's what they were intending it to do that first year. When they created that eight spot, they took a lot of really good officials and moved them to center judge. Because remember, it was myself, it was Doug Wilson, Jim Wary, Matt Richards, To name a few, and I'm missing a couple other names, but a lot of really good officials that were good at their positions moved that center judge position, and it was really competitive. I mean, there was a lot of great officials back there. And then it did kind of develop into becoming more of a training ground to become a referee. But I don't think that's what the initial thought was, but it is definitely, it's a natural path, without a doubt.
Other than putting a microphone on your hip.
So how was it having the ball come towards you, officiating? Now as a center judge, the ball's moving, everything's moving away.
Yeah, really different. That's all I can tell you. I mean, I went from now calling holding and everything else that comes with you in the backfield to, tackles and guards, which, I wasn't doing, working deep, to, now I'm learning a whole new position.
Okay.
Really liked it though. You do work. It's one thing I did notice is that I was putting on more miles in a game than any other position, I think, when I went to center judge.
Oh yeah.
Now, Mike, I know your wife Kelly goes to quite a few games. I mean, you progressing on, was it a lot of opportunity that you brought the whole family along, or two games and stuff like that, to where they got to experience it, to where they knew dad was gone, but they were excited about it, not just, hey, dad's out the house again?
Yeah, that's an awesome question. In fact, we intentionally would allow the kids to pick a game a year to go on, for a long weekend. So we get the schedule. Back then we got full schedule. That wasn't the partial, but my kids would go, I want to go to Seattle, and so they would. The intent was that they would embrace what I was doing and not hate me for being gone so much. And so it actually penciled out pretty well for us, because now they love it. And as they got older, we actually started doing some college tours as well as part of it. And so I think that was something Kelly and I sat down and said, hey, let's include the family as much as we can at times, and gave them a chance to travel and see some cool goals too.
Did any of them wind up going to a Pac-12 school? Did you get kicked out of a school for a while there?
No, I told them they couldn't choose a Pac-12 school because I
got to stay working. I got to stay on this grind.
Great cash, homie. Great cash, homie.
Hold on. But that's cold, Mike.
But there's always two schools that we will not name. But like, if you do go to any of them, you have these two options.
Right.
Wow. I kind of know one. I kind of know one. Wow. That's cold.
But you were already excluded from one because you graduated from ASU, correct?
I did. The interesting thing though is that back when I was in the Pac originally, it wasn't restricted. You weren't restricted in working your alma mater.
Oh, okay.
So I worked several ASU games and even Arizona State rivalry, and then 1 year it just changed, and
it's called
never
Twitter.
Been the same.
It's called Twitter.
Right.
Twitter changed social media. Everything.
Right.
Yes.
Social media crushed it.
Yeah, there's got to be a time limit now. I don't think anybody cares if I went there 100 years ago.
No. No. You'll be amazed. Jim Fergutans was replayed my first few years in the Pac, and he was a graduate from University of Arizona. We had an ASU game playing, and it was like early in the season, playing a non-conference team, and Fogey had reversed something against ASU, and on Twitter was, oh, there goes this, this Arizona grad messing with ASU again. I'm like, really? Right. This man graduated 50 years.
I know.
They had 4 buildings on the campus.
Right.
Right.
They had fixing the horse and buggies cool.
Exactly. Like, come on now. They still didn't have air conditioning on campus when he graduated. Come on now. Let's get it over with, people.
Yeah.
But
now, you got
Twitter.
Understand it.
Twitter.
I don't know what you're talking about, Monty. This internet to get you. Yeah,
that's why I say you got to understand it
well,
now. Just it is what it is.
Yeah, it is. It's too bad, but it's perception and reality, right? That's kind of
it.
Oh yeah,
how it is.
Now
I got one.
Oh, go ahead.
I got one, Mike. So you've been this Southern California kid. How was that experience working at UCLA or your first Rose Bowl game, working at the Coliseum? How was that?
It was just amazing. I think the one first time I worked UCLA, USC at the Rose Bowl, and walked out there and said, wow, this is a full house today. I mean, every seat was taken, all 103, seats, whatever it held back then. And that was real, just real fun. I mean, real experience back then. I mean, I think I told a couple people yesterday on our crew that hadn't worked at UCLA, I said, hey, this is an iconic place. This, whether there's 30,000 or 100,000, I said, this is a place you really want to take your time, soak it in a little bit here, because it's one of those places. It's kind of like going to Notre Dame. It's the Rose Bowl,
Right.
It's a lot of history there at the Rose Bowl.
It certainly is.
I try to tell people it's cool to go as a fan once, so you can kind of walk around, because as an official, you can't walk up in the stands and go into the turnstiles and everything and see all the history and that's happened there. But if you get the opportunity to, it's a beautiful place, and it's a whole lot that's happened there at the Rose Bowl.
Yes. Yep.
But so now you're back there, center judge, you're backpedaling, you got to deal with your Achilles and everything, because you're backpedaling more and more and all that transition. And then they bump you over to that pretty white hat. Is that
nobody gets, but he requested it. No one just go to get the white hat. You know how this go, Mr. White Hat. You don't just.
Well,
I got. Hey, you look good in the white hat.
No, I got an opportunity to work a game, preseason type game, the previous year at Colorado. And I would say it went okay. I don't think it went great. Looking back on some of my announcements. Wow. Can't believe they'll give me the opportunity to be a referee. But I got better. I worked at it. But that's kind of how it evolved. And, it's the first couple of years, it's a lot of learning. It's a lot of game management at the referee position. And Craig Vaughn will know this. And it's just a lot to do. You're managing not just your crew, but you're managing the game. A lot of midweek things we have to do behind the scenes. You
guys do a lot behind the scenes of the communicating with the so trying to get a van to the arena. Right. Okay, do we got a film room, a room at the hotel? Okay, the tickets. They only want to get y'all involved in the tickets. It's like
the TV producer.
Then the TV producer, he ain't called me. So you guys have a lot on your plate.
Yeah.
And then the crewmates like Ashanti calling, man, they hit me again on a quick ref.
Hey man, some beatings you just gotta take. I ain't telling the referee, hey, I got this no call, right? Nah, I'm gonna just eat that one.
Oh yeah, everyone knows we have to become therapists too to our
crew. Come Wednesday at 3:00. It's usually it's therapy time sometimes out there.
All right, but those coaches you have to be a little savvy sometimes. Like, all right, is this one I want to let the referee walk over and talk to the coach, or is this something I can handle? That's something I'm realizing.
You better
at this level.
I think it's called you better handle it.
Yeah. Some conversations like, nah, he can come take this.
But I will say though, with Mike especially, and I've experienced it this year, and I noticed it a little bit more yesterday because we were together yesterday. We won't say where. But by you being in the conference so long, those coaches recognize you. So, you have that white hat on, and unless you have a very, I wouldn't say strong, but a presence on the sideline that they also recognize, they are just bypassing. I don't want to talk to you. Just, hey, Mike.
I'm your boss. I'm here to talk to the management.
No. It's not that. It's Mike.
They know Mike. Right. They know Mike or Cravon.
Right.
I don't know who this is right here, but Cravon. I've been telling him about such and such.
I don't know this Busty you got standing next to me.
I've been telling him such and such. I don't know if he mute. So yeah.
But by you being around so long, Mike, I'm sure you get that. I mean, other than the new coaches in the conference, you probably get that from all the coaches that's been around for more than a couple years. They're like Mike, and
even I've noticed they remember everything, man. 3 games ago, this happened.
Were you there with us yesterday?
Right.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, that was
Now, but how, I mean, you make that transition to referee, and now it's one thing about filling in for a game, you know, and getting that experience. But then when you actually go that first year full time, you know, it's now you're the crew chief. How was that first year?
Man, see, y'all talk about me. This feels like our referee therapy session. What are we doing here?
Like, you know, I've been working with these guys. With the guys, like, how y'all can't respect me? You know what I'm saying? They don't respect me. That's what this is.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, let me play some slow music for you. Go ahead and ask a question again.
I guess I set myself up with that one, but it was an honest question. You know, it is a transition moving to the crew chief. You know, it's a difference of being a referee for the game and being the crew chief. So how was that experience throughout the first year for you?
You know, I think so. So what I always told my crew along the way, I said, hey, listen, my style is going to be a combination of a lot of different referees that I worked with over the years, whether it was somebody in NFL Europe, arena football, you know, major college. I was fortunate to be a part of a lot of crews with some really well-known people, Bill Lamagnier, some of the other names I previously mentioned too, and the list goes on and on. And so I would always take a little piece of what they did as a referee and how they manage a crew or how they did their pregame. And so I always told my crew, I'm like, hey, you're going to see, you know, see some of that. And it's just my style, but I've taken pieces along the way. And, you know, I think the first question that I got was the first year of like, how long your pregame is going to be, Mike? Don't worry.
Yes.
It'll be a reasonable amount of time. I'm not going to bore you to death.
Right.
But, you know, some of that just evolved, I think, you know, as you manage a crew, it's just some of that respect and what you have to do as a leader just comes naturally.
So when you got your first crew, was it the guys you had already, you just replaced the referee, or you just had a complete set of crew that the guys you work with? Was it?
Yeah. So I got the opportunity to work a referee because Terry Lydon, who was a referee, got hurt in a bowl game the previous season. He went down in the Pinstripe Bowl after the game. And so that created the opportunity for me. So I kind of took over his crew essentially that next year.
Mm-hmm. Now you were with Terry, right? You were with Terry. That was the tall crew. Was that you and Mike Stevens and Terry Lighton? You guys had, like, you know, if you wasn't 6'2", it's like you weren't allowed to be on that crew. Weren't you?
It was good. Yeah, we were the tall crew.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was the nickname for the crew, the tall crew.
Man, it was not like everybody on that crew was giants. It's like me and Yak had no chance to ever be on that crew because you know the pictures just would have been off.
Yeah. I worked with Mike Mothershed for a number of years, which was just awesome experience working with Mike. Just a phenomenal person, as we all know, and so well respected. He was great to work with. I was his center judge for a number of years.
Okay.
As well.
Nice.
Now, did you get the hand, the finger? Did you?
Did you dress up as Halloween?
Oh yeah. I remember. So I'll tell you a quick story. Roscoe and I were in Arizona one day, and Mothershed left the room for a second, and he left his microphone on. So Roscoe and I were always kind of goofing around, and Roscoe puts the microphone on like he's acting like he's a referee and giving signals, and he breaks the microphone. He the screw comes off the thing, and Roscoe panics. He puts it down on the table, and so Mothershed comes in, and he blamed me. And he's like, "What did you do to the microphone?" I didn't touch it. He's like, "I know you did. I know you were playing with that thing. You want to be a referee someday." I said, "It wasn't me. It was Roscoe," and he wouldn't believe me. To this day, Roscoe always texts me pictures of the microphone. And
that's cool. That's fun. Now, Mike, what year is this in the pack for you?
22nd year.
22nd. Yeah.
Mike. You added some on to this, right, Mike?
and still looking like he's 45, you know, still looking young.
He look like he's 48. Like 48.
Yeah.
This is Ashante first year, and he looked like he's 68.
Hey man, it's stressful. This is stressful.
So now, Mike, I'll give it to Ashante though. He keeps saying, "Man, this hard."
Yeah, it's not easy.
When you get here, and I say it for myself, like it's a different ball game, knowing that just everything on the line and every whisper and every second that you're out there, everything counts.
Every play could be on the internet.
Every play.
It's a screen. You're a screenshot away from. Okay, what happened? So.
Now, Mike, you know, because we all love your pops, and he was so involved with officiating. Is there, you know, outside of you being a ball boy, but is there a moment in time when you became a pro at this? You know, you're at the,
you poke your chest out to your dad,
right? Is it, or just I wouldn't say poke your chest out, but is there a moment that stands out to you? You know, as you're progressing,
I got this
through your career. Not even that. Just like a son and pops moment there where you guys related on the same page finally of something that both of you put so much time and energy in.
Yeah, you know, I did get the opportunity to work a few games with him along the way.
Oh wow.
We worked a game at San Annabelle, the junior college game.
Okay.
One time. That was a lot of fun. And then I did work with him on several arena football games too. And I think at that point, you know, he started to see me develop, and he was like, okay, you know, he didn't want to, he was always one of those kind of dads that wouldn't push his son. Like, I was really comfortable with that. You know, I mean, sometimes you may see that along the way, but he was not out there trying to behind the scenes maneuver things. And I wanted to prove that I could be an official on my own standing and not, you know, Bill McCabe's son. So I hope to this day, people see that. I know there's certainly, you know, opportunities that were given to me along the way, but it's just an opportunity. You still have to prove yourself, right? So that's I think, you know, one thing I you know, kind of proud of that you know, hopefully I'm seen as a good official and not just somebody who's given the opportunity because of who I was.
Nice. Well, I think you definitely, I know you have definitely handled that, because I knew you and I didn't put the two together until a few years later. Like, oh, that's Mike Dad. Oh, okay. All right. Mike's not as funny as his dad, though. I was
spitting images.
Yeah, I know. The older I get, I'm like,
but I never was in the same room with them. And Mike was in Orange County, and every time I saw, we were at COC. So, you know, it's like, okay, but you know, but I will say this, Mike, I can't tell you this though. You have nothing on your jokes like your dad had.
Man.
You know, I know. He's a better
yarn.
storyteller than me. There's no doubt about it. I can't compete with that. Yeah, I've heard them all 100 times too, by the way.
Him and Mike, I'm sure you remember what was the gentleman's name? Bill Jordan.
Bill Jordan. Yeah.
Between him and your pops, when it came to stories of football officiating, them two had it. Them two guys were legends when it comes to the storytelling. And, you know, it's great to get to know them both, but you had the pleasure of, you know, one of them being pops, which is really cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, Mike, we're all going to go through this transition and so on with what it is and the beautiful
just say realignment.
You know, realignment.
It ain't realignment. There's no such. It's not a realignment.
I think you said best the transfer portal.
The transfer portal. You know, and it's kind of scary in a sense, because we're so used to the norm of, hey, every year you're not guaranteed to be back, but if you do a good job, you know, it's a good chance that you coming back. And then now, after 22 years, you know, the conference is, you know, what it may be. We don't know yet. Are you excited about the new opportunity? Because I'm sure, you know, you will have an opportunity to move forward. You're still a young guy. You still look good. You're still moving well. You're a great crew chief. Are you looking forward to possibility if needed to to new opportunities out there?
Yeah, I am. I think it's a little uncomfortable with that's okay. Change is you have to embrace change, and change creates uncomfortableness at times. So I'm trying to do everything I can to concentrate on this season, but
Right.
it's the elephant in the room. We all know what's
Yes.
coming next season. So
Yes.
wherever happens, I'm fine with it. I think we'll all, see where things go and, do what we need to do to apply to other conferences if that's the case. And, if I get that opportunity, that's awesome. And, if not, I've worked a great career too. So I'm happy where I've come, but I certainly feel like I have a little gas left in the tank. And Ashanti thinks I'm 48, so why can't I keep working, right?
You're still running on premium. You haven't set into that diesel yet. You're still running on
right.
premium.
Exactly.
You're going good. You're going good.
Now that premium is expensive right now, though. It's like $9.
Exactly.
This is ridiculous.
Yeah. Try Orange County.
Right.
I saw somewhere it was like gas may go down to 320. I'm like, not in California.
You're right. Not in
that's
California.
in Mississippi somewhere.
Yeah.
That's where they refine it in a bathtub.
So Mike, this year you got the opportunity. So now you've been on a crew so long. How is it now that you're a referee welcoming rookies on a crew? You know what I'm saying? Just enjoying this phase of the journey because there's new people on the pack and this is you know what I'm saying? The Swan song. So getting them embraced every opportunity.
It's a great question because at the beginning of the season, I had a lot of officials come to me and say, why do we need to create the eighth crew? And, my rebuttal to that was, we all needed to have an opportunity someday to get into a conference. And I said, so, if it creates an opportunity for somebody, that's a good thing. And I thought it was great. For whatever reasons, we created an eighth crew. It gave so many people an opportunity to get to this level. And, we were all in that person's shoes at one point, trying to get into a major conference. So, we have a lot of new people, a lot of new faces, but it's been great. For me, I think it was good. I had a lot of the same guys, a lot of the same crew. And now I think I only have 2 returning people from last season, for the previous seasons on my crew, with Ty and Jeff. And Jeff's only in the second year with me. And otherwise, I got a whole new crew. So it's been fun. It's been I would say a challenge, but just those first couple of games, everybody's filling each other out, trying to get everybody, getting that cohesiveness going and getting that crew kind of mentality going. It's been fun again now. So I actually enjoyed it, having new people this year, to be quite honest with you.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
One last question. So what would you tell a young Mike McCabe coming up now? What's the advice you have for the young guys coming up?
Another great question. I think that the only flaw I see with some of the younger officials is that they want it too fast, too soon. And I think that part of that, the camps have created a little bit of that, some degree. I think it's how we see things in society these days. It's just instant gratification. It's we want it now. It's kind of that I want this now mentality. But with football officiating, experience is what gets you there, and you can't replace experience. And if you fast track an official too soon, too fast, it's just not the best thing for them. They'll fail in some ways, out there, and you don't want that to happen. So my advice would be, if you want to pursue it, it'll happen at some point in your career. Just keep pursuing it. Don't give up on it. But continue to get better and work as many games as possible. It goes back to what we talked about earlier, like all those day C games I worked, all those games and all those snaps. I mean, it just made me the official I am today from an experience perspective. And so again, just stay after it, but you can have the desire to get there, but also understand, don't get frustrated along the way. Because I think if it takes a little bit of time, it's a good thing.
There you go.
And on that note, we're not gonna let
Almost said
Ashante
something.
mess up that moment.
Almost said-
We're not gonna let Ashante mess up that moment. So you know,
Okay. You sure? I got one.
No. We're not gonna let Ashante mess up that moment. Hey, Mike, we really appreciate you coming on the show. It's been great. I mean, I've known you for quite some time. It's pretty cool to, share the same room with you finally as a referee. And I look forward to what's to come for you down the road. But thank you for joining us here on the Unofficial Lounge. And we really appreciate your time, and have a great rest of the season.
I appreciate you guys. You guys are the best.
All right, McCabe, everybody.
All right.
Thanks for tuning in to the Unofficial Lounge podcast. Don't miss your chance to join PCH Street's MVP Wine Club. Get 3 amazing bottles sent to you every quarter and discover wines that make us throw a flag and stop the game. Visit pchstreet.com/join to become an MVP Wine Club member today. Enjoy the best of the Central Coast of California.
Thank you for listening to this episode. Remember to please like and subscribe, as the Unofficial Lounge is available on all your podcast streaming outlets, including Apple, Google, Spotify, and Anchor. We look forward to you joining us next time in the Unofficial Lounge.